Yes, welcome to the Bushido 3 Talk Show. Today we're joined by my business partner of Perfect Moves Martial Arts, Miss Clarissa Pearson. She is also a second degree black belt in the Degerberg blend. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today.
All right, so tell me a little bit about your martial arts background. Tell me what rank you are, how many years you've been training, and how you got started.
I'm a second degree black belt in the blend in the Fred Degerberg. I've been in martial arts for 33 years, and I almost, if my dad would have allowed me to quit, I probably wouldn't have gone that long.
Cool. So good thing that we're brother and sister and also business partners. We'll be able to have a good interaction today. It was funny because I started with it because I watched Karate Kid probably 150 times a week, and
Yes, absolutely.
definitely, I just wanted to have a trophy and a black belt one day. And then my sister signed up, which is Clarissa, of course. She signed up, and then you didn't want to do it at first, and dad ended up doing it, and then somehow we are all able to talk our mom into doing it. So all four of us did it, right?
Yes,
Yeah, cool. So you started off doing the blend of martial arts, taekwondo and karate, and then when you were in the army, you also picked up another form of martial arts. Tell us about that.
I did. I started boxing. I was getting up every morning, which really wasn't an issue because I've always worked out and usually worked out always in the morning, except it was a little bit earlier than expected. And I trained under Sergeant Lyles while I was there, and he helped me with my boxing. It was a little bit difficult at first because of being a martial artist. I'm used to using my hands and my feet. So to be able to not be able to kick and just to punch was difficult at first, but I really enjoyed it. The workouts were great. A whole different perspective and way also to focus and to train your body.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I remember when we were talking about you're like, I'm boxing, and you were telling me you had hands for me and stuff. So I was like, oh man, I got to get tight, So because you're one of my best sparring partners, we've been sparring partners and training together since we were little kids, even when we'd weight lift, when we are in our 20s in college. You helped get me ready for when I was fighting or doing bodybuilding shows, which was awesome. Great training partner. You didn't start competing and fighting until later in life. How old were you when you started fighting?
I think I was about 18 or 19
Okay.
when I started, and trying to think. I guess what kind of pushed me a little bit is that I had recently had started teaching for a while, and one of our students at the time wanted to compete, and so then somebody said, "Well, why don't you just try it?" And I was like, okay, fine, I'll go ahead and do it." And after that, I just really enjoyed it, and I liked it, and I like just the camaraderie of being able to train with other people and being, unfortunately, I think a little bit too addicted at times to sparring, because I think sometimes we would end up sparring like 3 or 4 nights a week,
Yeah.
plus with school and work and everything. So, but yeah, I think that's how I kind of just got into it.
Yeah, definitely. I remember your first fight. Tell us about your first fight, and who was one of the judges in it, and tell us all the little dynamics that happened that day.
Well, my first fight, um, we were outside of Milwaukee, I think,
Hmm.
and um, you were actually one of the judges, and one of the females at the time that I was sparring with, she actually kicked me right dead in my private part, and I was just so shocked because like everybody saw it, heard it. I grabbed myself and like went down, and I
Hmm.
remember the master told me to told the other person to turn around, and he asked me if I was okay, and I said, "Yeah, give me a few." I got up. I was pretty ticked off. I've never had a girl kick me there before,
Hmm.
so they, I don't know, you know how I can be sometimes. So I kind of felt like I think the master thought that I had a little bit of like a grudge or something, and so he reminded me of that. Unfortunately, I was starting to talk, in which I shouldn't have been,
Hmm.
and he told me that if he thought that this was going to be like a grudge type of match, then he was going to stop everything. So I told him we were good. But then I remember you ever so often were saying, quit hitting them girls so hard, quit hitting them so hard. And I was just like, I was in the zone and used to, sparring with all of you guys. I think of Mark Hansen and
Because yeah, you were
um,
under black belt at the time, and so it wasn't full
yeah.
contact yet. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. So I just remember sparring with a majority of guys all the time. So I wasn't trying, to do it on purpose, but that was just the way that I sparred. And
Right. Yeah, definitely. I always like to use you when we have other females, as you know, w- us being in the army, we always sort of use the word female, not in a derogatory term, but instead of calling women chicks or whatever, anything else, we always seem to use the word female. So I remember, being a female, you've always trained with the guys, you've always been able to go hard, and I like to put you with our females that are in the gym. If they say, "Hey, we're getting ready for a fight," oh, really? Okay, let's see what you got. Because you're a good test for them. You work out still religiously, although you've now retired from competition. Correct? Are you retired from competition?
yeah.
Yeah. And what's your workouts like during the week?
Well, during the weeks now, unfortunately, due to COVID, I had to change up some things. So for a while, I was doing some bag work and then lifting. But not that I have all the equipment, for lifting, but I've been using my body elastics lately. I've started back to running again. I try to run at least 2 to 3 times a week. I'm no longer doing as long distance as much as I used to due to the fact that I'm older and I feel like that I need more of those fast twitch muscles. And I still also, at least I would say once a week, to get bag work in. It could be better, of course, but still trying to get used to the change with the routine and new schedules and everything like that. And then I still take classes once in a while from you and still continue to teach. And so I have to demonstrate. I'm a firm believer that if I can't do it, then I don't feel that I should be teaching it. So I do demonstrate everything that I teach.
Yeah, that's cool that you say that because even though I've had a ton of surgeries and whatnot, I do believe in being the instructor or the coach that still gets in there and with his students or fighters and give them a little bit of work. I might not be as good as some of them, but I do believe in getting in there, and that's something that I know that both you and I do is get in there with our guys, no matter what it is. We're mainly stand up artists, but we still get on the ground sometimes too. And I think that they respect that. What do you think about that?
I do. I think that because sometimes when you talk to your students and you're trying to give them feedback or suggestions, and sometimes what I always tell people is that at the end of the day, once you're in that ring, that's you. That's not them because all of reality is that there's no crystal ball that is going to say how you would have done something. But at least that they know that what you're talking about is that you can put it to the test. They've
Hmm.
seen you. They know what you're able and capable of doing. And the thing about it is that I'm not concerned about. I want the thing about it is I want to see our students do better. So if that means that one day that they beat me. At least that I know that I've done the job. I feel like that there's just more respect. I think that that due to the fact that I'm able to kick, to punch, that I'm able to do all of that, do it properly. Um, I think that that means a lot to students because when
Hmm.
I'm trying to say, oh, just kick this way. Well, can you show me how to do the kick? Can I even get my leg up? Can I even extend my arm to do a punch? There's a difference between an injury, okay,
Right.
and not being able to do something. That's totally different. But as long as that I'm able and capable, I think that I should try to practice what I preach as much as possible.
Right. So yeah, and that's always been our motto on how we've been raised as children is health and fitness is huge. It's a huge part of our life. Whether it's in the martial arts or not, health and fitness does help us professionally in our day jobs and helps us as martial artists, helps us as coaches and trainers to be that example for our students because we not only teach fighters, adults, but we also teach children. And it's good that we set those examples, definitely. Now, you're also a combat veteran of the U.S. Army, correct?
Mhm. Correct.
Yeah. How many years did you serve?
I served for 9 years in the Army National Guard.
All right, nice. And you attained what rank?
sergeant.
Cool, cool. Nice. And would you say that some of your training from the martial arts helped you by the time you got to the army, and also different things that your parents are able to show you? Would you say that that helped you at all?
Oh, most definitely. First, I just want to say, first came my parents, then came the military. So I would
Hmm.
say that actually, our parents, we always had chores. We always, before we left for school, I would say probably maybe 6 or 7 years old, we always had to make sure that our bed was made before we went to school. There was chores like we've always been doing dishes, and back in the day, I don't iron anymore. I'm just gonna be honest about that, unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah,
But
Miss Wrinkle.
learned how but we learned how to iron at a very young age, picking up the
Right.
garbage, vacuuming, doing laundry, those types of things. But because we're a family. So what's the point? I also believe and respect our parents that, they sacrificed and did a lot for us. But at the same time, as a family unit, I feel like that my mom and dad shouldn't have to be doing everything in the house. And then I'm having my hand out saying, hey, I want some new shoes, or I want this outfit, or I want to go here or there. We had to work for it. We just didn't, it wasn't handed to us. And so, I know about work ethic. There's many times I would say that, and as well as you remember this, is that with our grandmother, Mrs. Allison, um, every summer for years doing that yard work. Oh my goodness. But that taught us a lot. It was work ethic,
Hmm.
and I think that also with our dad, like keeping things clean, dad was all about it. I mean, sometimes I thought he was a little extreme. If he saw you eating a cracker and a crumb dropped on the floor, you had to either sweep or vacuum the whole floor,
The whole
you know,
floor.
you remember that? But,
Yep.
but that really helped me also when we were in the army about how things had to be attention to detail, things had to be clean,
Hmm.
had to be neat. There was order. I remember that one of my drill sergeants asked me if any of my parents was a drill sergeant or was in the military. I said no, but I said my parents ran a tight ship. I mean, mom was she ran a tight ship, but dad, there was hardly
Hmm.
any wiggle room with him, so you already knew from from correct.
Right.
But I think that those types of things definitely, really helped and played a part. And I also think um, the mental part. One of the things that people say, "Oh my gosh, I don't think that I could ever be in the military and have to do all the physical stuff." For me, the physical stuff was not a challenge as much at all. Which was the mental stuff. The mental, like, because somebody else screwed up or didn't do something right, we all had to pay for it.
Right.
That really got to me because I'm like, I'm my own person. I can be responsible for myself. This person over here, they're jacked up. Why I got to be jacked up now along with them? But that also taught me teamwork. That also helped me coming from my sport when I did cross country and track. That helped me to understand that we need to work together to pull together, And so I think that commitment and that I also would say to a certain extent sacrifice that really that really helped.
Hmm. And you hit on a couple other athletics that you did compete in that I know of was cross country and track. Um, Tell us about cross country, because that that you were not a champion in. Tell us about that and what that taught you.
It definitely taught me humility. It taught me, I think, of definitely being humble, realizing that I'm never going to be number one,
Hmm.
but I was okay with it because I tried my best and I used cross country to keep me in shape for track,
Hmm.
which was something that I really did love. I remember one of our cousins, Byron, he knew that I was running cross country, so he decided to do it one year. And I remember he was like, I am done with this. After this is done, I do not understand why anybody would want to just run nothing, you know.
Right.
And so, but I was telling him, I'm like, it keeps you in shape, though. It keeps you in shape. And it does. And still to this day, because I did do cross country, I still do run. I don't
Hmm.
run as many miles as I used to. I think within the past 3 to 5 years, I've definitely have cut back just
Hmm.
because of injuries and knees and stuff like that. But
And age, and age.
oh yes, hello. Okay, all right, fine. Let me say that. Okay, my my maturity.
Right. Right.
It kind of gets to you after a while, and recovery. I don't bounce back as fast as I used to, but
Hmm.
I don't think it's always just because. I mean, yes, age plays a part in it, but I also think when you've been doing something for so long, for over 20, 30 years, your body, regardless, takes a toll. I think that some people, if they start out later, they don't feel it right away, even though if they become my age, because
Right.
they haven't been doing it as long. So there's a lot of miles on the body.
Right, because I remember, just for instance, Thursday nights, that was our big sparring night where we put everything together, invited people from all over the city that we knew, where there'd sometimes be between 15, 20 people that are all black belt level, 15, 20 years experience, whatnot, at the full contact level. We'd start sparring at 6:30, 7 o'clock, finish at 9, 9:30, and I know that we had college the next day, or we had papers due, but we made sure we got those rounds in because it really helped out when we compete, you know. And no matter where we would compete, whether it was a point fight, a full contact, and then later on you doing boxing, and then me doing um, uh, Shotokan or whatever it was, or even in no holds barred, it was definitely, it let us know how much we had to give, how much more in the tank. You know, it's like, hey, you might be tired, but you figured out how to get it done. Because I know that many a times we were in the same classes when we were in college, and we knew exactly, hey, how much we had to study, how much we had to spar, how much we had to lift, how much we had to eat. Those are all things that we learned through discipline, through the martial arts, definitely, that I have to say.
Yes.
Yeah. Now tell me about, say, tell me about martial arts, you being the instructor at Perfect Moves Martial Arts, the differences that you see between a coach and an instructor, or somebody that's a trainer, because I wanted to sort of pick your brain on that, because I know that there's guys that are coaches, there's guys that are instructors, there is going to be that difference where you find a guy who wants to fight, but they want to just go and do all the drills and hit mitts, but they haven't learned how to do the basics. Tell me what your thoughts are on that.
So this is my personal opinion,
Hmm.
is that I think that an instructor has the experience of knowing how to teach from a curriculum, but that they can also, I would say, prepare, like to write out a curriculum.
Hmm.
Um, that they are also able to explain why you're doing something and can relate that also to real life if there's certain kicks or punches, and how you can put that together and how you can expand. A trainer is somebody, in my opinion, that is able to give you a lot of circuit training, a lot of strength training, a lot of repetition. They might not necessarily be there to improve or to, um, I would say, focus in more on your, um, let me see, on your technique.
Hmm.
And I think that a coach is somebody that is there to back up either the instructor or the trainer. The coach is there to encourage, to give pointers the, to the student or the person who is competing. And the coach is there also sometimes where the instructor might be like, for an example, might be a little short or whatever, that the coach can be able to give that pep talk, reinforce that encouragement, and also sometimes to make you feel like that you're walking on cloud nine. But I think that a coach is able to do that because when you are a fighter, it's a lot of mental. Because if things don't go right, or if you get hit a certain way, you, and especially if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm losing or I'm not doing good, the coach is there to be like, all right, you got to focus. You have this. Remember what we worked on. It's that encouragement to remind them
Hmm.
to say, I believe in you, to be that, like, how you have the little angel over here and then the devil over here, but the
Right.
coach is supposed to be the angel, like telling you that you are able, that you are capable. So that's my personal opinion of the difference between a coach, a trainer, and an instructor.
I like that, definitely. And that was a good analogy. Because I think that, of course, all three of those are important to a person's success as a fighter or as a martial artist or going further. Like we have a belt system going all the way to that black belt. Each one of those three different ones actually help you accomplish that goal. It's like having that complete combat team or whatever, because that instructor definitely is that person that says, this is how you throw a jab. Before you go on to the next level, you got to know how to throw a jab or a low kick, such this and that, And yes, that was a good breakdown that you gave of that. Tell us about how it's been being one of the owners of Perfect Moves, and roughly how many years has Perfect Moves been around?
Whew. Well, I guess we could go back to the days at Gold's Gym. Ooh, I
Yeah.
want to see 1997 or
No, I
8.
think I think 99 is when I first
Okay.
started teaching there, and then 2000 when we went full blast. Yeah. Yeah, so that's
Okay.
20 years. Holy
1999.
cow.
So yeah. So about that. Um, how has it been? It's been interesting. I think that from a perspective of being a female, I think that when sometimes our students say, "Oh, this is one of the owners," or "This is my instructor," or however they may define or explain to other people,
All right.
they think, well, actually, I should take that part out, the instructor piece. When they find out that I'm a co-owner of the school, they think that I just put money into school and that's it, and I show up and my name is there. They don't
Mhm.
realize that I actually know something and that I teach and have been doing this for a long time. So people are like, oh, okay. I think that also at times people are not really sure how to engage with me at times, of how to be able to treat me because I am a woman. You don't see many women co-owners of martial arts schools. So usually there's men. So I think that that's also a difference. What I love about our students is the respect that they have for me and the respect that I also have for them. And the one thing that I try to always tell the students is that I'm here to help you to be successful, whatever that is. If it's to improve doing push ups, if it's improve doing a kick, or to get up enough nerve to be able to spar, it's not just only about the competition. Because that, for me, that comes at the end. You have to be able to prove to yourself and prove to us that you are going to be committed and do the right thing um, of learning the art because I can't honestly, with a good conscience, just say, oh, somebody wants to spar, yep, put them into the ring. Because all it takes sometimes is one simple accident. They forgot to keep their guards up or they wasn't prepared. And I would never want to send somebody in the ring not being prepared. And
Right.
also, if
So let me interrupt you then. That was actually a good answer right there. Um, so are you saying that no one, or, and I'm also playing devil's advocate because I know how we think and what our thoughts are, is would you say that somebody comes in, they think because they're paying us whatever our amount is per month, that they should be fighting in 2 to 3 months? Is that something that you support?
absolutely not. We've had people that have asked that have wanted to do that. At a personal level, this is just me. I'm only speaking for me, nobody else. I don't care how anybody else runs their house, their school, that's them. For
Mhm.
me, I cannot do that because um, even though we are a business, we are also kind of a family run gym as well. And one of the things is that win or lose, you still have to deal with the family also. And then if things don't go right, even if they do, you're not always going to be able to please everybody. But then somebody's going to say, well, why did you put my kid in there? Why did you put my husband?
Mhm.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Keep going. It's still recording.
Um, so I think that having to look at a parent or a loved one in the eyes and tell them, I'm sorry, it was because they wanted to, and so I just decided to do that. I also have um, I have a moral compass, and I have ethics and values that for me, I can't do that. I need to see commitment. You can still, we have had students that I feel like that have been very gifted and talented, and but still at the end of the day, there needs to be more time put in. And also, I think we did some smokers fight back in was that January?
January, in part of
January.
January.
In January. So there were some students that actually competed, like in the smokers fight. And what was really interesting about that was after the fact, some of those same students that wanted to fight within 2 or 3 months, they were like, "Ooh, thank you, Ms. Pearson, for the opportunity, but there's a lot of work I need to get done." So
Yeah.
I rather be able to practice, to work on, learn, understand what you need to do. Because you can tell people, I love it when I hear people say, "Oh, if I was doing this fight, what they did was wrong." But guess what? You wasn't in that fight. You don't know. Because at the end of the day, you also have to respect your opponent's skill as well.
Hmm.
And maybe they came on the A game, maybe they even surprised themselves. And so you can never underestimate somebody because one day that light bulb comes on. They do that 180, and then they're set. So it's important, I think, to be able to try to um, master whatever you're trying to work on, get to to be able to achieve.
Right, definitely. So, another thing that I guess what Perfect Moves also does, which is not throw them out there when they're not ready. There's going to be guys or fighters that may have something that they still need to work on, but they've shown improvement. They show that they can compete, but also Perfect Moves offers them a chance and to get help in certain things where we give the intangibles too. Where if a person needs help, even doing a resume or doing a mock interview, we've done that also at Perfect
Oh
Moves.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, because we not only want to see Perfect Moves martial artists get the belts, get the championships, but we want them to be good community stewards out there and people that are out there in the community setting a proper example. And that's segueing into what you do outside of your martial arts, outside of your job as a social worker. You have an organization called Black Latino Unity Picnic every year, correct?
Correct.
And you're holding that in the community on the south side of Madison. Tell us a little bit more about that just for a minute.
So yes, with Black and Latina Unity Picnic, that actually started. One of the main organizers, Alex Gillis, went out to California, and it was a Black and Latino summit. And he came back. He said that he really liked it, but he wanted to do more, wanted to expand more on that. So we decided to start to do that, and we also felt like that it was a big need in the community, just due to uh, the growing population of the Latino community, and then also with the Black community and how unfortunately how systems tend to divide us. And so we decided to talk to different people from the community, say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Reality is all people, regardless, I don't care what color you are, love food. But definitely when you have like Black and Latino people, you say free food, oh yeah, we're there. So we could kind of, we could put things aside and be able to really to see each other for who we are and be able to have conversations and dialogue. And that's something that we try to do to be able to focus on and recognize with respect and also creating a safe space for people to come together to talk about some of their challenges and issues that they deal with on a day-to-day basis so that we can be able to form and create and improve our relationships between the community.
You're right. And then you're able also you have entertainment and martial arts is one of the things I love because Perfect Moves does a demonstration there every year. And then you also have dancing, you have music, obviously, as you said, you had food, and then you had special speakers, definitely. And that's one of the things that really draws me to other martial artists that want to do more than getting a black belt, more than getting a championship is helping out your fellow man because that's part of our old student creed when we were training at Capital City Karate is to help ourselves and our fellow man and never to be abusive nor offensive. And we're never going to be, we train never to be abusive or offensive. It seems like in too many areas of our life that we get to see these days is that people want to be offensive, and then they call you snowflakes or this or that, and we're not about that. It's not to be offensive, not to tear down on somebody else, but help build them up. Those intangibles are definitely something that we try to push. Where we don't push our political views, we don't push even that. It's just, hey, if somebody comes to Miss Pearson and says, "Hey, Miss Pearson, I need a ride," or "Hey, Miss Pearson, my brother needs a ride," or something like that, or do you know somebody that's hiring or whatever? I've seen you, not just because you're a social worker, it's just because of this is the way of perfect moves. Is that something that's definitely something that you've reached out and other instructors have reached out to try to help people? Because one of our sayings in the gym is, "You will never walk alone," and we take that definitely serious. You'll never walk alone. The thing is you have to know that somebody has your back, and it goes further than being a teammate. It goes further than being a sparring partner. It's definitely a family.
Yes, I think that something that you also said, not just about me or you, but one of the things that I really look up to a lot of our students, they're the parents of our kids, is how they have bonded together and have
Hmm.
come together to help each other. One of the things that stand out right away is last year with the TBAs and how parents got together. One parent wasn't able to go, but the other parent said, "Hey, I'll take your kid. This is what I'll do." And that parent treated that kid just like that was her kid. And there
Hmm.
was no doubt about it. And that mother had, in my opinion, I mean, of course, as I'm sure as a parent, even though I'm not, is that you're always going to be concerned or worried. But she knew that her daughter was in good hands. And then also that we were there as well. And so I think that, that coming together and helping your fellow man, helping each other out, regardless of who you are, where you came from, that there's just that respect and trust and wanting all the kids. I mean, don't get me wrong, adults are a little bit different, but one of the things that I have constantly tell the parents in our classes that I want to see every kid in this school be able to be successful. This goes beyond, you know, being successful in martial arts. I want to see them to be successful where they're able to graduate, that every kid in that class is able to read and to do math. And if they're not able to, even though, hey, I'm busy, I'm willing to offer to help to tutor if that's what it needs to be. If I'm not able to tutor, especially this new math, I'll try to find somebody to be able
Yeah.
to help. Now it's all this virtual stuff for right now, but I think that that's a commitment that I definitely see from all
Hmm. Definitely. So I thank you for joining us today. This is part one because there's some more questions, some more things I want to come out with, where we can have some dialogue with about the direction of what we see kickboxing in the state of Wisconsin, Muay Thai boxing in the state of Wisconsin, MMA, because Perfect Moves competes in pretty much everything that we can. We've had guys do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments or grappling tournaments, karate, taekwondo, Americanized karate, Muay Thai, and kickboxing. So definitely, and also boxing. We've done boxing too. So that's something that we're going to talk more about is how Perfect Moves and Miss Pearson has actually coached most of those arts before or across the board. A lot of those different arts, going in cornering and giving these guys and these guys, or I should say fighters, the help and the assistance that they need to get that win. No matter if it's a win or a loss, you've been there, and we want to talk more about
schools.
that and what you've experienced. Thank you for joining us. Is there anybody out there that you'd like to thank?
I would just like to thank my entire family for the support. Of course, I have to definitely thank the people that brought me into this world, my mom and dad.
Right.
But I think my whole entire family, I cannot list them. I will not even try to because they were like, "You didn't mention my name." I have too many family members. But I would just definitely like to thank my whole entire family, my mom and dad. Also, my partner Alex has been very supportive because there's many of times when we've been on the road, like weekend after weekend. He definitely has been there, supportive, and obviously, you and um, I also would like to thank Hiroshi Patrick Murphy. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you. Also, with our grandmother, Mrs. Allison, um, how she always kept us on our toes and made sure that
Right.
we were quick. And yeah, so I just would like to thank those people.
All right. Thank you for joining the Bushido 3 Talk Show. We'll see you next time. And thank you once again.
Thank you.